Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Today I am going to deliver a lesson for class 12th, subject zoology. My today's topic is the theory of abiogenesis or chemical origin of life. In our previous class, we have discussed about the various theories for origin of life on Earth, and we saw that many theories have been put forward by scientists according to their understanding. But the majority of scientists have accepted the theory that is the abiogenesis or chemical origin of life for the origin of life on Earth, because this is the only theory that provides an explanation which can be tested experimentally. The theory was put forward by Alexander Oparin and J.B.S. Haldane in 1929. According to this theory, spontaneous generation of early molecules might have taken place on Earth when it had more reducing atmosphere compared to the present oxidizing atmosphere. Both Oparin and Haldane agreed that in primitive atmosphere, oxygen in free gaseous state was virtually absent. The early gas cloud was rich in methane, ammonia, water vapors, and hydrogen, free hydrogen. Moreover, the atmospheric water vapors condensed into drops and fell as rain that rolled down the rock's surfaces and accumulated to form liquid pools, which are present-day oceans. In the process, erosion of rocks and washing of minerals, for example chlorides, phosphates, into the ocean was inevitable. Thus Haldane's hot dilute soup was produced and the stage was set for the combination of various chemical elements. Now, as you can see in this sketch, the primitive Earth containing the reducing atmosphere with high temperature and abundant ultraviolet radiations in this primitive atmosphere, because no ozone layer was there around the atmosphere, so these ultraviolet radiations easily penetrate into the atmosphere. Now, it is said that after the formation of Earth, there was a prolonged rain. Due to the accumulation of that rain, water bodies were formed on this Earth, which are present-day oceans, and in these oceans there was the mixture of these gases in this water, and that was known as popularly as Haldane soap. And in the primitive atmospheric conditions, the conversion of these simple inorganic molecules took place, and they were converted into simple organic compounds. The conversion source for these reactions was lightning, which provided electric discharge, or UV radiations. These simple organic compounds include fatty acids, amino acids, purines, pyrimides, etc. And slowly, these simple organic compounds were then converted into complex organic molecules, that is, fatty acids formed lipids, amino acids formed proteins, and carbohydrates, etc. These complex organic molecules or macromolecules remained stick with each other and were without any external membrane, and these aggregates were popularly termed as conservates. These conservate aggregates were free and lack the outer covering or membrane. But slowly, these lipid molecules covered the external surface of these conservate aggregates and formed some sort of covering around these conservates, and this structure was termed as protocell. After the formation of protocell, these protocells set out to achieve genetic material in the form of, obviously in the form of DNA or RNA. Now, there was the question now whether the DNA or RNA was the genetic material of these primitive protocell. Since DNA contains the genetic information and has the ability to replicate, but cannot act as enzyme, while as RNA, in addition to these properties, acts as enzyme, and by this property it can catalyze its own reactions. So RNA is a prime contender to become genetic material in these primitive cells. After this genetic material was formed in these primitive protocells, these cells were called now as primitive cells or prokaryotic cells. Now, slowly these prokaryotic cells then were converted into eukaryotic cells, and then eukaryotic cells formed multicellular animals, and slowly, due to evolution, these present day organisms are supposed to have been formed. Now, this was still an hypothesis because no experimental evidence was there to support this hypothesis. It was actually Curie and Miller who gave an experimental verification to support the theory of chemical origin of life. This Curie was an astronomer according to the first educate recognition to Apern Haldon's view on the origin of life. Miller in 1953 made the first successful simulation experiment to assess the validity of the claim for origin of organic molecules in primitive Earth conditions. Miller sealed in a spark chamber a mixture of water, methane, ammonia, and hydrogen gas. He made arrangements for insertion of 2 electrodes to provide electric energy to spark chamber. The spark chamber was connected to another flask. Here it was connected to another flask so that from this flask the water vapors were provided to this spark chamber. After 18 days, significant amounts of the simple major organic compounds or monomers such as amino acids began to appear in the aqueous sample of the experimental set. Amino acids formed were alanine, glycine, aspartic acid, etc. Therefore, the obvious inference was that abiotic synthesis of organic monomers occurred in the simulated experimental conditions. By analogy, such synthesis could have occurred in the primitive atmospheric conditions. Later on, many scientists repeated Miller's experiment using slightly different starting material and ultraviolet radiation or other energy source. All of them could successfully synthesize amino acids and related compounds. Now all the living creatures that we can observe, including us, have originated from this primitive cell, that single cell that was there at very beginning of origin of life, and that is the idea of organic evolution. How come all of us originated and all our ancestors is this one primitive cell? This primitive cell slowly maintains to form prokaryotic cell, then the eukaryotic cell, and now multiple modification of this eukaryotic cell made it more complex over the time of evolution. Finally, what we see, the four complex human beings who is capable of even think of what happened at the process of evolution. Now, this was about the theory of abiogenesis. In our next topic, we will discuss about the evidences of evolution. Until then, goodbye and good luck. Thank you.